Today, we're going to tell you about the huge rally and, of course, the heartbeat market that continues up and down, up and down. Pete and I are going to break it down for you. Stay tuned for today's Rebel's Edge. All right, Pete, thank goodness for Jordan Salinas. For those of you who don't know, there was an In-N-Out burger, which happens to be Pete's and my favorite burger place in the whole world. They are fantastic. Yep. And in Twin Falls, Idaho, some crazy person walked in with an AK-47 or whatever, an AK as they call them, and he began shooting people, killed 3 people. This guy, who, as you see on the screen here, is practicing at a range, decided he wasn't going to have it. So he went out there, Jordan Salinas did, and got shot, but he shot the perpetrator of this horrible act. And this guy is a hero. He went running at the danger, and he took a bullet for it. But thank God for people like Jordan Salinas. We just wanted to show you, because people think, oh, Second Amendment, do you guys really need guns and this and that? Yeah, apparently we do, because the cops might have been 2 to 4 minutes away, Pete. And in that amount of time with an AK, how many more people could this guy have killed?
Yeah.
So thank goodness, thank God for Jordan Salinas.
Yeah. Awesome.
With that said, we welcome you to today's Rebel's Edge, where we're not going to kill anybody, but we're going to definitely break down exactly what's going on in the markets today. We always start with macro, so let's do that, Pete. Yep. Stock market really seeing nice mega cap technology gains. Oh, what a shock. I mean, are you meaning to tell me, Pete, that when 500,000 Korean accounts got liquidated between July 13th and last week, that maybe that stopped the biggest part of the pressure, that and Leopold Aschenbrenner, the guy who famously built himself up after he led an AI company to start trading on his own, but he had only this much discipline and basically lost his whole hedge fund, or 99% of it. Are you telling me that when you take that pressure away, the market goes up? Apparently you are.
That being said, I think that, one of the things, and over the weekend, John, that I did a real quick hit on News Nation, and they just kept kind of pounding at me. Well, what about inflation? I said, let's see how much of it is driven probably by crude oil, because that is what's driving this thing as much as anything. So I just say that because crude oil's down 6% today, trading right around 79. And we're also looking at a market that seems to be doing pretty good today based upon some of that, John. So yeah. I think if you can get that part of the inflation down, it's going to be very meaningful for airlines, for trucks, for cars, for you name it, plastics, everything. I mean, there is so much that I don't think people really ever fully understand how much oil is in terms of what the market's going to be.
Right. I mean, you could complain about prices at the grocery store, folks, and I don't blame you if you do, but that had to get delivered somehow. Guess how it got delivered? In a very small number of cases, it got delivered by some sort of electronic vehicle or an EV. Most of it gets delivered by diesel or gasoline. And if it's coming from overseas, it gets delivered by fuel oil, gets delivered by jets, it's Jet A. It gets delivered by cars, it's gasoline. You get the idea. Pete's exactly right. All right, Pete, what do you got for volatility today?
You know, it's interesting, John. If you look at the highs of last week to down where we are this morning, or early afternoon, maybe, we're down significantly. I mean, that vol is really interesting. Here we are at, call it 1560 to 1630 is where we the range of the day, but you can see the pathway right there and the significant drop over the last week or so. So call it about a 14, 15% drop from last week to this week in terms of the high to low. Look at that chart. We were good, just over 20. You know how long we were over 20? For about a nanosecond once again. But nonetheless, and here we are. So interesting to see that, John, and it sure does match up very, very well with what the markets are telling us right now, and some of the stress of the markets not being as stressful as it was, that's for sure.
Well, in fact, it's down 26% since the 29th of July, folks, the VIX is trading in the 15s. So once again, Pete's exactly right. We're seeing that people that understand what crude oil is as an input in terms of inflation understand when it drops 8%, we're seeing a pretty significant decline in the inflationary pressures.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. Prediction markets. Best AI platform. I'm sure some of you out there are very fond of Grok, which is, of course, Elon Musk's. That's part of SpaceX. But the most popular, according to Kalshi, 66%. The next closest is under 13%, Pete. And that happens to be Claude or Anthropic. What do you think of that, Pete?
I think it's pretty amazing. And I would not have guessed that, John. I probably would have guessed ChatGPT. I don't know about Gemini necessarily, maybe. I'm just thinking about how I work and how I've talked to people who are out there looking around and checking out this whole space that's been created for us or whatever. But I do know that there are people out there who have told me, God, they love Claude and blah, blah, blah. And I guess money is going right on top of exactly that. 66%. I'm still shocked at that. That's an amazing number.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's not the end of 2026 yet, folks.
No.
Thank goodness. So we've still got a solid 5 months to go. We'll see. But right now, Claude's got a almost insurmountable lead.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk just a little bit about Rebel Investors Club. It's the hat I'm wearing.
Nice.
You guys can join. We'd love to have you, in fact. We're going to be announcing, of course, a lot of cool stuff with our friends like you see behind me. That's the Circa Sportsbook in Vegas, the largest sportsbook in the world. And our friend Derek Stevens is having us out there for a conference, and it's going to be fabulous. But if you want to stay in touch with everything that's going on, all things Rebel, well, go to the Rebel Investors Club. How do you do that? You just scan that QR code, folks. Scan that QR code. It'll take you right to our website, and it'll give you the pro tips. It'll give you stocks, options, crypto, access to pre-IPOs like Anthropic, like Androl, and so forth. And it'll give you also let you know what Pete, John, Mark, any of the folks on our team might be investing in the private markets, things like crowd funds and so forth. So check it out, the Rebel Investors Club. It's $1 a day, and we've got specials running right now. So scan that QR code. You should join us and see exactly what the smartest money in the market is doing right now. All right, Pete, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
And diving into Amazon, which is always fun because Amazon is killing it. And how do I know that? Well, because last week when even Apple had warned about how things might be going for them, and the stock traded back down to 300 a share from the 340s, almost 350 maybe, Pete. Amazon was one of those big winners, along with Microsoft. And Amazon shares continue to rise. The cloud giant's post-earnings rally, pushing its capitalization above $3 trillion for the first time ever. And we had unusual activity. We had it long before the earnings, folks, but we also had it just last Friday. Last Friday, Amazon was a $266 stock. Somebody bought 1.7 million share equivalent, and they didn't do it in the short term, Pete. They weren't buying in the options that expire in a week or in a month. They're buying them in the November timeframe. So that kind of person is looking for this over time.
Yeah.
And they're being richly rewarded already, Pete.
They absolutely are, John. And people were also richly rewarded with those earnings themselves that were absolutely outstanding. I mean, the AWS is the shining of it all, the shining light of it all. The revenue growth of 37%, John. Then you take a look over at how's Amazon doing in terms of its operating margins. Well, that's up to 39%. That seems like a pretty damn decent number. And then you look at the market cap. You talked about that already, but the 3 trillion. I mean, it's an amazing number. But the most amazing thing that they had for me, John, was the earnings itself. Because it's one thing to beat earnings. It's another to crush earnings. I don't even know what the expression would be to say what Amazon did to their earnings, but they were looking for $1.82 and actually delivered at 575. So that's beyond craziness and amazing. And you know what? These demands that are out there, they're accelerating. The generative AI infrastructure, all of that. That Amazon is absolutely killing it right now, and it's amazing. It's hit another 52-week high today, shocker, and it's probably going to go much further if that unusual options out there in November gets something moving a little bit. I mean, this really could be something where this stock could be, I don't know, $300 in the not too distant future at all. It's not that far away.
I was going to say it's $15 away, Pete. And once again, I'm going to heckle my friends that Pete and I were on CNBC with, and I'm going to say, hey, the law of large numbers, though, Pete.
Yeah.
You know, they said that, folks, when Apple was closing in on $1 trillion. And in probability theory, the law of large numbers is a mathematical law that states that the average of the results obtained from a large number of independent random samples converge to the true value. Now, does that sound anything like a random walk down Wall Street? Does it sound like a stock can't trade for $1 trillion because what about the law of large numbers?
It's great to watch. It's the stupidest line on TV. And I don't know why guys would keep on using it, but it's as stupid as it gets.
Well, because they don't put their own money on the line, Pete.
Right.
Because they just look at something and they say, well, you know, I don't know if a stock can trade over $1 trillion, really. And so now we've got basically the Mag 7 over $1 trillion. We've got Amazon 3 trillion. We've got Apple 4 trillion until it made that oopsie last week. I mean, come on, folks. Don't even bother us with those retweets of any of their past idiocy. All right. Marriott International, Pete, MAR, reported second quarter results. Net income, $766 million. It's about almost $3 a share, up from $763 million or $278. Nonetheless, they're moving in the right direction with this, Pete, and people are traveling, I guess, because why else would you be staying at a Marriott hotel or a Hyatt hotel or any of the hotels? Probably because you're traveling. And despite the high airfares, despite high gasoline costs, people are still traveling. I guess that means they're a little more confident than the consumer confidence reports might say.
Yeah, you know, Marriott, they did have a couple of oopsies themselves, though, John, where they talked about the revenue, which was, you know, something that didn't miss by a huge number, but it missed a little bit there. And then they also lowered their guidance. So that's why I think we're seeing what we're seeing today. Now, have we been running into this? I'd say that we had a pretty decent run. But I do think, you know, they were able to beat on their earnings. I just looked at the revenue, the miss on that, and that concerned me a little bit, but mostly concerned by the lower guidance that they were given for Q3 for those earnings. So it'll be interesting to see, and I can't imagine why they wouldn't be able to kind of get back into the groove of things or whatever. But for right now, they're still off by just a little bit. So something I think that to consider if you're looking at, you know, hotels, if you're looking at airlines, you're looking at that, you have to be very, very selective. Some are doing great, some are not.
Well, and right around the number, Pete, because like you say, after an initial shrug, all of a sudden it sells off 7%, not all at once, but it just, you know, bled down. we're basically at the February 26 lows, right around 341 to 345 in that range. Could we go lower? Sure, we could. In March, the thing traded all the way down to 313. Do I think we're heading there? Not really, but the growth is a bit of a concern, I suppose, but it isn't the end of the world here yet. So let's just keep our eye on it and see if we get any upside bets. All right, another one, Pete, AXON. These are the guys that make tasers and so forth, Pete, and body cameras. So as you might imagine, police forces around the world, not just here, are basically using both the taser, which is non-lethal force, 99.9% of the time. I suppose you could shock somebody's heart into the wrong rhythm or something with it, but mostly non-lethal, just knocks you down. And the body cams let the people see exactly what was going on when that arrest, for instance, or when that crash happened. So these guys came out with some pretty good earnings based on the demand for both of those products, Pete.
Yeah, it is amazing, and they've done very, very well. Up 8%, something like that today, John. And we're looking at this. I mean, the body cameras, like you said, the tasers, like you were talking about. I mean, they've got a really good streak going as well when they're talking about revenue growth. Their revenue growth is at 30% year over year, and it seems like they've done that quarter after quarter where they're positioning themselves very, very well, and it's been a streak for a while now. So I think this is one of those companies. Gosh, I'd love to see a little bit of activity come in there, John, and I don't know that we see it very often. We've seen it, but the unusual option activity in this name, it just seems to me that they're on a roll. They've got to continue on this roll, but I like what we're seeing, and I like what we're hearing from them on this report.
All right, one more to wind it up, Pete. Monolithic Power, MPWR. Monolithic Power, the stock is down. It was up almost the same amount on Friday, Pete. And this is one of the clear outperformers. I saw a video on it just a little bit ago on X, formerly Twitter, where they were saying if you put $10,000 into this one when it was first coming out, you would have about $800,000 or $900,000 now. And if you've never looked at this stock, folks, MPWR, it is a stock that has ran to the upside just, like this, from the lower left to the upper right. And does there need to be a time when it pulls back? Most of us would say, yeah, because in March of this year, Pete, it was 477. It peaked out this year way over 1,000 at 1,700. Now, most of us that can do math, Pete, would say that's 400%. 400%. It's not like a little bit, it's 400%. But it has done that time and time again. So I would say this is one where they operate semiconductor-based power electronic solutions. And apparently what they do for automotive communications and so forth, Pete, is nearly unmatched. For that reason, huge run to the upside, a pullback here. Not saying you have to jump back in, but in fact, could we continue a little lower here? Yeah, especially if the general market turns. But if it doesn't, heck, it's $400 off the 52-week high, which was only a few weeks ago, Pete.
The revenue that these guys put up was outstanding, year over year. Their earnings was another beat, so you stand there. You raised your guidance for Q3. Oh, okay, that's another pretty positive thing, I would say. So, I mean, they got share repurchase going on, John, so that's another thing. I mean, like you were just saying, everything looks great. Now, the one thing that you could sort of say, if you were looking for it, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing today, because as you mentioned, the stock had a nice move last week, and now it's giving back that move. Well, it might have to do with the fact is it a little bit stretched, and are people a little bit nervous, or are they just wanting to take something off for right now? I mean, you just mentioned what this thing was, and the numbers and how fast it's gone. I mean, just in this calendar year, just an amazing run that we're talking about here. So I look at the PE. Yeah, the PE itself, the price to earnings, is pretty stretched, I would say. Does that mean everybody has to pile out of there? Absolutely not. But there might be some folks out there that want to take some of it off. And you know what? It's just like the discipline that you and I talk about all the time, John. I mean, you know what? If something does an incredibly good job and doubles or whatever, we usually look at it and say, you know what? Good time to maybe take some off. Maybe don't take all of it off, but maybe take some of it off. So I think that's what we're seeing is a little bit of that selling pressure today, just evening things out. But based upon what they do, how they do it, I think these guys have probably, believe it or not, they probably still have room to the upside.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. But again, if you're somebody who was lucky enough to get into it, even just this year, it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a little off. But you need to take it. I mean, again, that's why you'll hear traders like us folks say, sell when you can, not when you have to. In other words, on a 100-point up day, 200-point up day, which this one has had, kind of like selling into that, buying rather than selling into a swoon. But again, be disciplined. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. We have some sports videos as usual, and it was kind of tough to select one today, but I think we went back to the well with one of your favorites. I guess he says Babe Ruth is no longer the greatest ever. I would take exception with that, but he still might be right. Let's give him a listen.
Never thought I would say this, but we are really witnessing the greatest player to ever play the game. Now, what I'm about to show you, if it happened in a spring training game, it still would have been the greatest performance we've ever seen. But instead, it's game 4. And if you win, you go to the World Series. Enter the greatest baseball player we've ever seen, Shohei Ohtani, who starts the game as a pitcher and strikes out the side. And guess what? He then switched to hitting and led off the bottom of the first.
In for the LCS, and there goes Ohtani.
There it goes.
The guy is special. I mean, we've talked about it.
And kept them scoreless through 4. And in the bottom of the 4th inning, Ohtani would step to the plate again.
Oh, my goodness. Shohei Ohtani.
And by the way, he hit that ball 469 feet. But wait, that's not it. You think this man's done? He would go back to the mound, strike out 4 more Brewers, and keep them scoreless. And then in the bottom of the 7th, he'd step to the plate again to cap off the greatest performance in baseball history.
Ohtani, did he? Ohtani! Ohtani!
That's unbelievable what the guy can
This
do.
man, in this one game, as a pitcher, he pitched 6 shutout innings of 2-hit ball, striking out 10. And he had the most whiffs among all pitchers with 19, and the fastest pitch thrown at over 100 miles an hour. And then also as a hitter,
the
he
kid's
went
hair
3
is
for
the
3
greatest.
with 3 homers, had the farthest ball hit,
I'm
and the
jealous of
highest
that.
exit
I'm
velocity
jealous,
in
dude.
the
I'd have
entire
that.
game. I don't need to see any more. This man is officially the GOAT. I never thought.
Officially the GOAT.
I think you and I gave him that crown quite a while ago, John. We've been talking about
Crown him.
When baseball comes to your town with the Dodgers, go see him. I mean, you know, go see one of the, if not the greatest, one of the greatest players ever to step onto a field. I mean, it's, you know what? I put Bo Jackson in there. Look what happened to Bo. Unfortunately, he gets hurt and he's not able to even play anymore and all the rest of that. Say, go when this guy's in your town, you got to go watch him. I mean, if you get lucky enough that he's pitching and, batting that same day, that's pretty much a spectacle, man, because that guy is something special. All right, John.
Yeah.
We got some guys that are pretty damn special as well. But first, before we get to that one, I want to give something else. So there's a defensive lineman, plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'll tell you, if people haven't watched it on I think it's on Netflix. I want to say it's Netflix. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a whole documentary on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how, terrible they were early on and ownership and this and that and Bo Jackson and all these various things. But they got a defensive lineman right now, John, named Vita Vea. Now, they took him in the first round. I can't even remember how many years ago it was now, but he's
2018.
2018. Yeah. He's 6'4", 350 pounds. He's not fat, John. He's not got like
No.
he is considered by most as the best defensive tackle in the game. You know, you've got your edge rushers, you've got this, you've got that. This guy's considered, right now, he's considered the best. In the first round, he was the 12th pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they grabbed him. He's been to a few Pro Bowls, all the rest of that kind of thing. He is getting a little bit older. However, I'll tell you what, I was looking around, I was thinking, you know what, I wonder who would be the best teams if this kid were to jump away from Tampa. Where should he go? You know what one of them is? The Chicago Bears. You should you should make sure that those guys understand that this guy is a very, very unique, unbelievable player. He's not only a guy who's going to be stuffing everything in the middle, but he even gets in there and gets some pressures on quarterbacks. I mean, you know, that's why he's considered so damn good, because he's so athletic out of Oregon. And they just have a whole system going there, John. They have so many Islanders there. It's absolutely amazing. And this kid is one of them. But the Bears are one of them. San Francisco could be another. Some people say Buffalo. Some people say Green Bay. I think that you should say it's the Chicago Bears, because you know what? Wherever that guy is, that defense gets a hell of a lot better. And hopefully, for me, I hope he gets back with the Bucks. For you, I hope the Bears are smart enough to sign this son of a gun.
Oh, yeah, me too. And they signed him in 22 to a $71 million contract extension.
Yeah.
He lived up to exactly what they expected. And now, you know, prices are up. And he's like, I'm in the last year of my contract. If you don't want to extend me again, trade me. Mm-hmm. Put me on the block. Let me go somewhere. And, you know, we'll see, because, again, he's under contract, folks, which means, as you know, I mean, anybody watching our show knows that means unless they cut him, that he is not a free agent. You have to pay Tampa to get him. And they can keep him for a year. And he ain't going to be happy if that happens.
No.
That's why he's requesting a trade. His agent's requesting a trade. And this guy is a beast. I agree with Pete. And it takes two men, not just two blockers, two men to hold this guy back, because at 6'4" and 350 pounds with his kind of power, that's a scary individual in the middle. He shuts down the middle of the field. So I would love it if we got him and Sweat, Pete, right there in the middle. That would be fabulous. But I don't know if we're going to get him or not, 'cause I don't know what the asking price is. It's probably a lot.
It's probably a lot. And you know what? You're one of many teams that would like to have him or need to have somebody on the D line to help them out. And if he went to San Francisco, the interesting thing would be he'd be back up with Mike Evans, who the wide receiver who went back from Tampa back over there to the San Francisco 49ers. So that's kind of cool as well. All right, John, it's way too early. Nobody's even thrown a football in a practice yet. I don't think they've started practices yet. Who's going to be the next Heisman Trophy winner? And I thought it would be kind of fun, and we could kick around a couple names. So John Mateer is one of the guys. I don't know if you've seen what this kid's done with his body over the last maybe year and a half or something, but he was a transfer, came down there. His head coach had come down to Oklahoma as well. I'll tell you what, John, the guy looks like a freak show, and he played well last year, but I think Oklahoma is one of those teams that's going to surprise a lot of people when it comes down to it all. I think they're last year they probably were disappointed in themselves, and I think this year these guys are one of those teams that if Mateer can mature just a little bit more, and he's a top round draft pick type guy, they could be a pretty interesting team. I look over at Ohio State. They've got their quarterback. They had him last year. That kid's another guy that you could talk about. You have Jeremiah Smith, who's a wide receiver at Ohio State. Shocker, a wide receiver at Ohio State that's really, really good. It's amazing. I'm going to go with this one, though. There's all kinds of names out there. You can kick around whatever ones you want. I'm going to go with one, Arch Manning. I think he's the most, for a guy who kind of feels like he's overrated. John, the kid's 6'4". He runs with the football very well, and he does it a fair amount. He throws the football like an absolute king. The guy ran all over Michigan when they played them. I think that this kid, I know the name and everything else, and everybody kind of wants to say, well, he's a little spoiled. Of course, he's a Manning. He's going to get everybody's attention. He's getting their attention because he's that good. So I'm going to say that I think Arch Manning's going to get the Heisman Trophy. I mean, unless barring some weird thing, but there was a point in time in the second half of the season last year where he threw 19 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. The kid is the real deal. And, it'll be pretty interesting. But who do you think? Dante Moore from Oregon? There's a lot of different names out there that you could pick.
I'll give you one, Pete. Because, again, they were just maybe a play or two away from upsetting Indiana. And that's Miami. Miami is loaded again. And they got Darian Mensah from Duke. Mm-hmm. Now, I know those of you who are real football fans will understand this, but how did he do at Duke? He threw the ball 500 times. There are quarterbacks in their entire, if they start as a freshman, might not throw the ball 500 times in their career. He threw it 500 times last year. 67% completion rate, Pete. Passing yards, almost 4,000, 3,973. And yards per attempt, 8. Touchdowns, 34. So if you don't think that you put that kind of talent on that Miami team that is built to win, I'll say Texas is great. Arch Manning's great. Julian Sayin or whatever, Pete, at Ohio State, great. Carr at Notre Dame, great. But they're going to be much more balanced. This guy at Miami, they could just say, you know what? Throw it 600 times. We don't care. Just throw it 600 times, and the 5 handoffs a game that you'll give to the running backs will go for 60 yards apiece because everybody will be backing up, to try to get back into the drop zones. And, like I said, Pete, 34 touchdowns at Duke.
That's amazing.
And he doesn't have Miami wide receivers. He doesn't have Miami tight ends. He doesn't have Miami running backs. So you put this guy there, that's my Heisman guy. I might have to go over there right now to Polymarket or whatever and put, a couple thousand on this guy because I think this guy could walk away with it. Really.
It might be worth it. I like everything you were saying about him. And I had forgotten about him, to be honest with you, when I was piecing this thing together. There's a lot of guys that are kind of on the fringes of this whole thing too. So, you just never know how it's going to unfold, but you're right. And the only thing you missed out on at all on your synopsis of that whole thing is the offensive line is damn good too at Miami. I mean, they'll be protecting him pretty well. I think he'll do okay with those guys because they're always big as all get out, and they're all end up in the NFL at some point in time.
Yep. And here's the other thing, Pete. You know how many times he ran the ball? 59. I mean, you look at a lot of these quarterbacks, like Pete said, and accurately, Arch is a good runner. This guy doesn't want to run the ball.
Right.
He'll run it if he has to. He got 1 touchdown. He had 59 rushes last year. And I don't know how many of those, Pete, were just like he was scrambling to get away from a pass rush or something. Keep in mind, he's at Duke. So he's probably running for his life on some of those. And, so I think in Miami, if they give him that pocket and those weapons and that line, oh my God. I mean, again, watch this kid. Yep. I think that's the guy to watch.
I don't disagree with you. I think you're right. I'll tell you what, if Arch doesn't get it, that guy seems to me to be at least number 2. And you know what? Maybe he's number 1.
Yeah. We'll see. Awesome. We'll see. Well, thanks for joining us today, folks. We'll be back tomorrow at what time, Pete? I forget. What time?
1 p.m. Eastern, baby. We're always here. 1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget about the Rebel Investors Club. Instead of some of the joke investor clubs that there are out there, you could get one where the people really put their money where their mouth is. And that's what we do every day. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 1.